Let's talk about it since the church rarely does. Should Christians be using birth control? Is it a sin? Or is even planning your pregnancy playing God? Now here's the hard truth. Any and all hormonal birth control, whether the pill, patch, ring, injection, or even the hormonal or copper IUD, is completely demonic and should be avoided. Now I know that is a very bold claim to make, but I say it because in many cases, these are abortifacient, meaning an egg can be fertilized, but the uterus or the lining is then made inhospitable for that egg to be able to implant. Biblically and scientifically speaking, life begins at conception. So we're talking about ending a life that has already begun, which God hates. On top of that, these methods absolutely wreck your hormones, which is not honoring the temple that God has entrusted us to steward. And it also lowers your ability to be able to conceive when you actually want children in the future. Now, what about barrier methods such as condoms? Obviously, there wasn't latex condoms back then, so the Bible doesn't speak directly on this, but I do believe that this can be justified in many cases because they are not abortifacient. They simply inhibit the sperm from actually meeting the egg. I believe this method comes down to personal conviction between you and your spouse. But just remember, just because something is lawful does not mean that it is always beneficial. I can personally attest that there is a much greater level of intimacy you can experience spiritually, physically, and emotionally when you do away with this method. With all that said, there is in fact a natural birth control option that we can use known as fertility awareness or natural family planning. I encourage every Christian couple to do this because you're able to plan around the windows when you are fertile and infertile by tracking your cycle and in some cases tracking your internal body temperature daily. But here's the bigger truth that I want to communicate. We must remember that one of the fruits of marriage is in fact procreation, so we should not fear having children. Yes, we can and should seek God's wisdom on the timing and steward that appropriately. But ultimately, we should be submitting those desires onto God and trust that He is going to open or close our womb when the time is right, whether that is earlier or later than we would have expected.